There were several new reports about Tesla this week that are interesting and important. So first, it seems Elon Musk is set to meet with the CEOs of chip and battery maker Samsung and automaker Hyundai. Imaginations are now running wild of what this might mean. And maybe we should let our own run it also, shall we? So second, Elon posted on X that Tesla has a clear path to doubling the average miles per intervention of FSD in August. What's amazing is he was replying to new data that showed that miles between disengagements had already doubled between FSD 12.3 and 12.5. And third, Tesla's semi-factory is moving along nicely. Production is targeted for late next year and will produce 50,000 semis per year. So a person I want to talk to about all this is Larry Goldberg. Larry has done deep dives into Tesla semi. He's been obviously following the disengagements per mile for FSD closely. And he's been saying that he knows who's going to be partnering with Tesla for FSD first. So let's dive in closer. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you, Herbert. Great to be here.
Let's start with our first bit of news there. So we've got Tesla Chan reporting saying that there was an article written that Elon Musk is going to meet with Samsung CEO Lee Jae-yong and Hyundai CEO Chung Yu-sun in Paris in early August. That's actually this weekend, by the way. That's what they're saying. So these are the top two Korean, well, maybe not top two, but Samsung certainly and Hyundai CEOs in Korea. And oftentimes, right, these Korean companies that like to partner together, they're working together, and they have convinced Elon to meet them this weekend. So according to the article, they're going to dine in Paris. So maybe they'll get to see the Olympics. They'll also discuss the developments of next-gen technologies and explore ways to cooperate. The meeting was reportedly made at the suggestion of Chairman Lee Jae-yong. Wow. So this is great. Explore ways to cooperate. So you've got a battery maker and you've got an EV maker. Hyundai is doing really well too, by the way. So what's your thoughts on all this?
Well, I've often said that Hyundai is probably the preeminent competitor outside of China to Tesla. And Hyundai have done really well. Firstly, they make a really excellent EV. They haven't done the sort of Mercedes and BMW route to putting batteries in cars designed to carry combustion engines, ICE cars. They've already designed them from scratch. And Hyundai has come so far in terms of quality and in terms of finish and in terms of value. So if you look at, Toyota and Honda sales over the last 5 years, has just been a steady decline. If you look at Hyundai sales, there's been a steady rise. So really they are eating the Japanese lunch. They're competing head to head against the Chinese. It's tough, but they're doing pretty good. And they are a serious contender in the EV stakes. So it makes sense for them to talk to Elon. I've been speaking about this for the last couple of years when I did the whole idea of Tesla licensing their technology, their 24-volt system, their and some of their other developments, and certainly FSD. Hyundai makes an absolute perfect target. As to Samsung, Tesla already does a very large amount of business with Samsung. They buy chips from Samsung by the millions. But Samsung has a very interesting dry cell, solid state battery development that they're pretty excited about. So there's so many natural potential connections between these three companies that it just makes solid sense. Time will tell. Elon meets with a very wide raft of people, so it's not necessarily definitive that he's meeting with them, but there's great opportunity there for all these three companies to work together.
Yeah. This is the Ioniq 5. It looks like that they're using LiDAR. let's go take a quick look at, I'm going to share the screen here of what they say on their website. So it looks like that they partnered with Motional. So first of all, look at that. That's crazy. I don't know why they keep doing this. LiDAR all over the place. How are you going to do this? That's just weird. Okay, so they're going to bring, this is from Hyundai's website themselves, Hyundai and Emotional, bringing Ioniq 5 robotaxis to the streets from 2023. What? Will be available from 2023. I guess. How old is this? What?
What was the date of this?
I don't know. Still on their website. So.
Yeah. Well, I think, all of this is what I call, webware. I don't take it very seriously, but I mean, the opportunity for Hyundai is very clear with FSD. They should really license FSD. So Hyundai, if you're listening, drop this this act and get into business with Tesla. There's real opportunity here.
Yeah. So it says here, we currently operate the world's longest standing public robotaxi fleet in Las Vegas, where we've conducted over 100,000 public rides with overwhelming customer satisfaction. They call it level 4, 30 sensors. They got LiDAR, radar, cameras. So, yeah, look at all that. That's what they'll do. All right.
I mean, the investment in the technology is probably greater than the investment in the car. So, I mean, look, they've got to get serious, and to get serious, they've got to license FSD.
What's your thoughts about? So you're pretty confident that they will be that's what's going to happen. Maybe they'll announce that. What's your thoughts on Samsung? What is Samsung's role in
Samsung is a natural partner to Tesla. They're already a partner. They manufacture chips for Tesla. I believe hardware 4 was Samsung. Hardware 5 looks like it's going to be split between Samsung and TSMC. Look, so not only do they already partner, but there's a huge opportunity if Samsung's dry cell or solid state battery is of any value, because the amount of development investment in that battery has to be gigantic. And Tesla's the natural customer if that battery proves to be worthwhile, and it's a natural test customer too. So the upside for both companies is very, very significant. Very significant.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so Tesla's already partnered with Samsung for both chips and batteries, and then they come together with Hyundai and they go, let's make the robotaxis and let's do it. Let's do it in big numbers, and then they will be able to support them in every way that they need.
Korea's got one problem.
Yeah.
The problem is their birth rate.
Yeah.
I don't know where that country goes, because in another 30 years, they just won't have any labor. And so I think Elon is more concerned about that than the commercial side of it. So it would be good for them to try and address those issues.
Let's take a look at what Jeff Lutz is saying about this. He said, hopefully true. I've heard there's a great relationship here. Samsung's leading component supplier in the world, fab capacity, make those chips, HB memory, cameras, displays, batteries, probably not currently. I don't know what that means. Other components.
Yeah, they're not currently manufacturing batteries in large scale for cars.
Oh,
but the solid state battery is in development. They're very, very high on it.
Gotcha.
And, they're very serious players. If they say that that it's on the right path, then it may well be on the right path. Solid state batteries would be a huge win.
And it says Hyundai growing EV footprint, FSD license. And when I interviewed the folks at Monroe, Sandy Monroe, Corey Steuben at that time was working there, and I asked them who's second to Tesla. He said it was Hyundai. They tore those cars down. They think they're fantastic electric vehicles. They seem to be selling well as well, by the way, right? And they're selling very well. They're second.
Herbert, if you go back to our our first ever conversation when I was in France, in Paris. I think this was a year and a half ago. I do believe I said the same thing.
Yeah. No, I know you did. You said,
I've been following Hyundai for a while because they are just
yeah,
unparalleled as an automaker today.
this is amazing. So here's Elon meeting with the top CEOs anywhere he wants, whenever he wants. They're meeting with him. They want to partner with him. So this is going to be, we'll cross our fingers. So we'll get to this because we will talk about the BYD and Uber partnerships because I got a little disappointed. I thought that BYD was going to be one of the partners for Elon on this, an FSD license, and maybe not.
Yeah, they're a
Maybe still.
natural partner, but I mean, clearly there's a degree of not invented here and wouldn't have Tesla in the house. I don't
No.
know. They're natural partners. It would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll get there. Okay, so the next thing I do want to show, I think is quite important, is here's Elon saying this: we have a clear path to doubling average miles per between interventions in August. So it's already doubled, and we're going to double even more. So this is beyond 12.5.1, which is what's going on. August is like now. We're in August now. So hopefully it's not Elon time. But he did that because there was this post by this guy, Elias Martinez, who has this thing called an FSD community tracker.
Right.
He's been keeping track of this website. He gets a lot of community members to come in to put in their miles and how many interventions they see. And they've been putting in for many versions prior to 12.5. So you can see if it changed or not. And once he gets to 1,000 miles, then he's able to report. So 118 people and gave entries covering 1.4 thousand miles, 352 miles with no critical disengagements for 12.3.6 during the past week, but 644 miles to a critical to with no critical disengagements for 12.5 series during the past week. So this is a good, obviously flawed, but it just shows you that looks like that 12.5 versus 12.3 using the same flawed system is double. So there is less, more miles driven without interventions. You can find it at TESLAFSDtracker.com. And they have this beautiful table and chart that they show. I guess, let me understand this. So this is the yellow is no disengagements at all. And then the blue or whatever it is, green thing is no critical disengagements. And you can see how it changes based on the version. So 12.5, look at 11.4 to 12.5. You can see that huge jump. And here you could do city miles and overall miles. And you can see the huge jump between 12.3 and 12.5. So again, lots of flaws here. And there are people that say statistically you can't take this seriously because the range of the variability is still high. So Alex Voigt said Tesla just doubled the miles between FSD disengagements from 12.3 to 12.5. And he goes, we'll double them again and again and again because they can. So that's where you got Elon saying, we're going to double that again in August. So 645 miles driven between disengagements, what an average US driver does statistically in 16 days or half a month. So the way he described it, which I thought was great, is that today you can drive half a month safely on FSD and you won't need to disengage a single time. Soon you'll see a full month and then 2 months, 4 and 8, and soon a year. You'll need to get to a year plus before this can be something that's considered to be really useful, right? So yeah, what's your thoughts?
I think we're just beginning to learn what is statistically significant and what isn't, and how to analyze the statistics. I can talk to you from personal experience. Non-critical disengagements are very much a matter of personal taste, patience. I think that so-called critical disengagements, the judgment of what is critical and what is not critical is an open issue, but we are definitely in the right direction. There's no doubt about it. And you don't need statistics to show you're in the right direction. If you've driven every version since the original version 10, I call it the original because that's really when I think FSD was serious. the improvement since going to the single stack is so dramatic. The improvement rate began to decline actually towards the maturity of the previous methods or the previous stack, and then just improved so dramatically. So I think that this FSD track is on the right path, because it doesn't matter if it's slightly flawed, because as long as the methodology continues in the same vein. The problem is if the methodology changes from one version to another. So I from my own personal experience of driving and seeing these numbers, I can vouch for them, not to their decimal point accuracy, but their direction. And that's what I said is the important thing, the direction of it. And the direction is very, very favorable. Now, as to when it becomes, truly full self-driving and how many interventions and one intervention and 0 interventions per year, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I'm very skeptical of the numbers that Waymo produce, because I think they do far more interventions of non-critical intervention than they fess up to. That's just my sense of it from A, having been in a Waymo, and B, from what I read. So we'll see. I mean, time will tell.
Yeah. And you can't compare the Waymo, which is in a geofence, very specific location, versus here's data from Tesla driving anywhere and everywhere.
Well, you can to this degree that you have to have at least as good an experience with Tesla as with Waymo, regardless of whether or not it's a generalized solution or a localized solution, right? So if you drive in San Francisco, it doesn't matter that Waymo is geolocated. It matters only that you can match its performance, and that you can match its performance. And because we claim to be able to do FSD anywhere, that you can match its performance elsewhere.
Yeah, you're comparing disengagements, though. So rate. Okay, so right, so it's the rate, the direction's going well, but even more important is the magnitude of the change per. So we're talking double, and we're talking another double.
So we have to be careful. We've seen this dramatic improvement in the early stages of this release. It's not clear that future releases are going to improve at this given rate. Elon seems to feel they will, which is very hopeful. We'll just have to see how they do. I mean, nobody can really know this.
Yeah, you won't know.
I mean, Elon probably has visibility into future releases, and that's what gives me hope that he knows what's coming. If that's so, that's remarkable, because I'll tell you, this 12.5 is good enough for people to pay $5,000 to $8,000 or the $100 a month. Without doubt, they will sell a hell of a lot of these at this price, FSD or no FSD, robotaxi or no robotaxi.
Exactly.
And this is very, very bullish for the immediate share price.
An increase of demand driver for new sales. I said the same thing, Larry. I said just the same thing. I feel the same way, that we're now at the point where it's worth paying $8,000 for this service, even if it's just FSD, because
absolutely.
It's, yes, there's going to be a disengagement every month, but I'm there and I'm going to help me and I'm going to but it's really the enjoyable experience and safety. So, okay, so we won't know, but there's going to be increased compute, increased data center, increased data. Everything is all being added to this system. So I want to get your opinion on Uber and BYD. So we just talked about the potential partnership with Hyundai. BYD and Uber announced a partnership a few days ago, and they said Uber to start using BYD cars in Europe and Latin America, and then in the future, they'll develop autonomous capable vehicles. But to be very clear, this partnership's only for Uber drivers to buy BYD cars. That's it so far. And then later they go, oh yeah, we'll make autonomous cars in the future. This is Dara Kozłowski. I keep forgetting his last name. And he's the CEO of Uber. He said, Uber has the most widely available on-demand EV network in the world. BYD Global is a global leader in EV production. Together, we're going to make it easier for Uber drivers in Europe, Latin America, and Asia to make the switch go green. So they plan to use 100,000 electric BYD cars on its ride-hailing platform, but it's a multi-year strategic partnership. So you don't know if it's like 5,000 this year, 20,000 next year. You don't know what that is. And they're just providing incentives and financing, very much like Uber has a partnership with Tesla today. And Uber allows Tesla and Uber together allow a Uber driver to say, hey, if you want to buy a Tesla, we'll give you up to $3,000 discount and favorable financing. And then they go, the companies will also develop autonomous capable vehicles for Uber's ride-hailing platform. But BYD themselves is so far away. Look what BYD said last year. In the article, it said a BYD spokesperson has said in April last year that fully autonomous driving is basically impossible and that the technology would be better applied to manufacturing. So how exactly are they working on this? The reason I bring this up, Larry, is that Elon said this to Jeff's tweet post. He said BYD needs to change course fast or they're in trouble. So when I heard that, I was disappointed because I thought, oh no, this means that BYD and Uber are not in partnership discussions with Tesla. I did not think Uber should be, but I certainly thought BYD could have been.
So did I. Disappointing, perhaps. But, it's very difficult to see inside these relationships. Very, very difficult. Clearly our prediction that it would happen is probably will not come to fruition. It's probably not the right path for BYD, but we'll see. We'll see what they develop. I mean, right now, none of their cars are autonomous or FSD or robotaxi capable. They'd have to develop a whole new product. So they start from well behind Tesla, like 5 million cars behind Tesla, almost 6 million cars. We'll be coming up to 6 million cars quite soon. I've got to check my numbers. But yeah, there are millions of cars behind. And the point is that to actually produce a new autonomous capable vehicle and start producing it, and if you're 6 million behind your competitor or 5 million behind your competitor, that's a slow start.
So we are at 10 millionth drive unit. So they celebrated that. Tesla came out and said that we're happy that we've now 10 million drive units. So if there's 10 million drive units, 6 million cars, because some cars have multiple drive units, right? 2 drive units in them.
Yeah, I just recall my days in 2018, when we were told that Tesla would never be able to produce 500,000 cars a year.
It was coming from a hole in the ground of dirt. We were building them one at a time, figuring out material flow, to now where we're operating 5 lines simultaneously and ramping to much more.
When I started, it was really hard. I'm really proud of the process we've made. From the time we started, we were struggling to make 100 units a day. It's really an amazing job.
Every 5
new
seconds.
product, new process, new team. During this process, what has grown was not only our products, it's also the team and every member.
The drive unit that we produce today is awesome. We've expanded from one vehicle to many, including our Cybertruck and our semi-truck. And it's more cost effective.
We create the production systems for every drive unit in all of our products and in every factory worldwide. We've worked with our global teams to continue to bring forth fresh new ideas, and the results of these efforts are very evident in our factories today. I'm incredibly proud of the teams that brought us to this milestone.
This milestone belongs not only to Tesla employees, it also belongs to everyone who believes in the sustainable future.
Yeah, you know what's important about this? The most important factor to be learned from all of this is that this is the key skill behind manufacturing robots.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
You know, so transducers are motors. Motors are required. Motors and transducers are the key behind the success of a robot. Quite apart from the, you know, the AI that has to be embedded in them, those are the key to the value to a value robot. So that's what's so important about that video.
I love it. Yeah, they're absolutely correct. I like that you pointed that out. Okay, and then we've got Tesla Semi. So this is the construction update of the Semi factory, and they say that it's being built in Nevada. It'll produce 50,000 semis per year once it's hopefully ramped. It's supposed to start in next year, late 2025. You can see that they're already starting to build the factory in Nevada. I'm going to go ahead and play this video from Zanegler. And while you're talking, I'll turn this down. Yeah, tell me more about what you know about the Semi. You and I have done some shows on this. You've done deep dives on the Semi. We've done it about a year ago, 2 years ago. What's your thoughts on the progress and all that?
Well, it's very interesting because Tesla have produced a Semi that is almost a perfect fit for short-haul deliveries in the United States. It's a perfect fit in every respect, in terms of the load it can carry, in terms of the charge that it has, in terms of charging time, and in terms of value. I mean, this is a huge opportunity. Now, whether it's 50,000 a year or not, I don't know in the current version. That's a lot. Just to put it in perspective, that would be about $12.5 billion or so of revenue. And I estimate it would deliver about $2.25 billion of gross profit a year. You know, that would add 64 cents a year to the earnings. I mean, that's like one whole quarter of earnings at current earnings. That's a huge, huge, Philip. You know, if you talk about what's coming with energy, what's coming with, you know, Robotay and all the rest, that in itself is a big business. So that's pretty exciting. And it's not the most exciting opportunity for the Tesla Semi. The most exciting opportunity for Tesla Semi is in the Far East, in the Indo-Pac, because there are like 5 times as many trucks sold into those markets as is sold into the United States. And the short haul version is, you know, a very, very interesting truck. And so I think this is just the beginning of what will be a very large business. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, when you think about it, the truck itself will be able to do in the coming year or so, roughly what Tesla did in revenue in 2018, you know, just 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
So it's a huge opportunity.
So Larry, you just said earlier that, or you told me that you didn't know 50,000 is going to be a market for that?
Yes.
Because short haul. Can you explain that a bit more?
Yeah, you know, there are about 250,000 trucks, I think, sold a year in the United States. Of those, about 80 to 100,000, if memory serves correctly, and, you know, I'm past the time when memory is my prime capability, but the about 50,000, about 250,000 or so, and the short haul portion of that is just it's not the major portion. Long haul is really the major portion of the units sold in the United States. So to get to 50,000, I think is a reach just for the US market. Now, will they export it? It's possible. And there is not as large a market in Europe for short haul. Europe is very, very strong on long haul. And I don't know the exact proportions, but it seems to me that 50,000 is a reach. So I would expect the first year to be in the 10 to 15,000 range, getting up to the 25,000 range in year 2. And then, you know, I don't know if that's going to be the limit. The question is, will they be able to develop a long haul version of that and, how does that work in terms of battery charge and so on and so forth.
Okay. It would seem to me, I'm not the expert here, that this one, they would actually transport it and export it, because the price range is 250,000. So, an additional 5 or 6 or even 2 to 5,000 for export is not a big deal for them.
It really rests on the use case the functional use case that the demand for that particular use case in the target market. So I really don't know the answer to the question.
Okay.
I've done quite a lot of research, but Europe seems to be a relatively unique market in terms of design and the kinds of requirements. So in Europe, you have a lot of small roads with tight turns. And so I don't know if you've seen their cabs. They're kind of very, very squashed,
right?
Very short cabs.
They look very different,
and very different. So time will tell.
Okay. Thank you so much, Larry. That was fun. Please follow Larry on X at Tesla Larry. He just did a number. You get into this every week. You dive deep on something. And I love the one I didn't show today, but you just recently showed why Robin Denholm, the chairwoman of Tesla, is selling Tesla stock. And you break it down very nicely and explain to people.
She's not selling Tesla stock. She's buying Tesla stock.
There you go.
That's the bottom line.
See, you already corrected me. I made a mistake. You're right. But anyways, you got to look at his deep dives. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.